Hello, English 101. I hope that everybody is doing pretty well. I think my voice is going to make it through this short presentation that goes through the slides so that we can overview the upcoming unit module 2, which is explaining a concept. And as you can see here, mostly works off of chapter 4. So just like remembering an event, the last unit module that we did, we worked closely with that chapter. I graded along the aspect of the basic features. The student model was calling home about the girl that stole the Snoopy button. And we were looking for the dramatic arc, we were looking for dialogue, those sorts of things. So do key in on those kinds of pieces of information in chapter 4. Again, the student model is something you were quizzed on. That is the memeing of trigger warnings. And it models a lot of the things that you'll be able to use in these upcoming assignments. So the other information on that first slide just reminds you that we'll also be looking at chapters 10, 16, and 17. Chapter 10 really has to do with drilling in on the reading of the sources that you're either using for your summary paper or the readings that you're going to be using for your own concept paper, and kind of how to make sure to reflect them accurately and break them down for your reader. 16 and 17 has to do with the MLA, your favorite, right? We've been formatting headings and getting Times Roman and all that stuff. Now we'll be making sure the citations that are shown in your paper are correct, and then the works cited at the end is correct. Again, the student model shows you how those are done. I'll give you a little bit more explanation as we go. This slide, of course, is just kind of a cut and paste from simple syllabus. It shows you how the points, the 100 points, are broken down for these particular assignments. You already took the quiz for a certain number of points, and then you're now moving into the library orientation. That's a very nice way of picking up 20 points and getting you in contact with a reference librarian, and you're going to be doing that as well. So it's a nice way to kind of start the unit. I will be giving you another mini lecture when we get to extended summary paper 1. I'll overview it briefly, but in any case, that's going to use chapter 10 a little bit and also help prepare you for your concept paper. The concept paper, the assignment is right in the chapter, and it's just as it's outlined here. The link is there. Some students do wind up using 4 sources instead of 3, but it's strictly based on what the student feels that he or she needs to do. And that concept paper, it's broken down just a little bit, as you can sort of see on the schedule. This slide is just here to remind you that. So here I'm just showing you what the module looks like and how the assignments are ordered up. So again, you're moving from that library orientation to the extended summary, and those all open up one at a time with various documents that are linked inside of that assignment so you can see what you're doing. I always give you an assignment sheet telling you what I'm looking for and how to go about it. Always feel free to contact me if you have any questions at all about what's listed there. And then I always give you a student sample, and I link it right to that particular assignment so you can, if you're hopping in and trying to get as much done of it as you possibly can and get it started, you can always compare what a student has done to the assignment itself. The only aspect to consider for this particular summary is that you are summarizing a different article than the student model shows. And again, it shows you what you need to see. If for some reason you'd like me to send you a link of the article that student read for the extended summary, let me know, and I can do that for you. And again, you have the other assignments as well there. I already talked about this slide, the readings and connections to assignments, with the first one as I introduced the unit module to you. And so with that second bullet, you can just see that I've added the link to the library research guide. And our librarian, my dear good friend, Ms. Lewandowski, Ms. Jane Lewandowski, updates that for us all the time with the topics that you guys are using and with any suggestions that I have. So you'll see another projection of that in a second, but that's just another repeater kind of place card there. This is just a visual slide to help you with the information literacy link to the library orientation work that Ms. Lewandowski, our reference librarian, is doing with you. That's completed completely online, but the library is always available if you ever want to go in there and meet the reference librarian or librarians in person and ask particular questions. You certainly can and encouraged to do so. But for those of you who are busy, we have access to reference librarians 24/7, but certainly we can access it through both the information literacy that's provided here and also through an upcoming slide which has to do with our research guide that's also provided by Ms. Lewandowski. So as noted, I will be explaining the extended summary assignment a little bit more, but up towards the top of your assignment, you can see that the explanation or the directions are first, and then there is the actual article that you will be using for the summary. And then at the bottom, I always try and provide a student sample of what one of my students has done before and did well for points. If you need to see the article on which that summary is based, let me know and I can send it to you. But the purpose of the extended summary overall is so that we're all kind of working with the same document and on the same page about what the original article said. And then once I can see we kind of have a grasp of that, then we go into the concept paper where you'll be able to choose your own topic and be working with the reference librarian and me to make sure that you've chosen sources that are going to be terrific for it as well. So as you can see, I've kind of skipped a slide because that was just for visual purposes to let you know that I was going to be showing you the links. This is the research guide that Ms. Lewandowski updates constantly with the ideas that we have and want to add to it. And you can see concept ideas and argument ideas from students of the past. If you have questions about how to kind of move around in there, feel free to ask them. But we kind of leave things up there because students actually are using the research guide all the time and find it very useful. So. After you've done the extended summary, assignment 1, you'll then move on to gathering notes and doing some other things so that you can do the explaining a concept essay. That's the last big assignment of this unit and module. And so the slide that immediately precedes this is just a placeholder letting you know that these are the guidelines. And these guidelines will make more sense to you when you actually get to that project. But the main thing is, as we're working through the process, because the concept really needs quite a bit of narrowing down, you'll need to have like a topic and a plan approved, so that way the librarian and I can be working to help you get your sources. And I get some terrific topics. I've had everything from a person who really loves shoes, writing concept paper called Appeal of the Heel. So I've had things on Nikes, all kinds of things. But the idea is it has to be narrowed to a point of interest. So I will explain that in another mini lecture when you get to it. And then these are some of the guidelines that you'll have. Pre-approval, and again, a lot of stuff is absolutely fair game. We just want to make sure that it's narrow enough. And then because of the need to understand how to incorporate notes into the paper, you're not just cutting and pasting. You actually have to really think through what the source is saying and how you want to use it. And the weird thing, or at least for some people, is in caps there with that second bullet. I don't allow students to use quotes unless the quote is so juicy it can't be said any other way. It just is perfect and there's no way you'd fight me if I didn't allow you to use a quote. So just send me a quote if something like that comes up. But usually the issue is that I have students use quotes when they kind of just want to get the source into the paper, and they don't really have time to put it into their own words. And there's actually two ways to put it in your own words. One is to summarize and the other is to paraphrase. So those are some of the things that we'll be working on. But the clearer the note and the clearer the decision, the better the paper. It's people who vaguely remember where stuff is coming from and have like a cajillion tabs open at the top of their laptop that sometimes struggle. They're like running through their tabs to try and find what it is that they used. And sometimes they kind of remember. And again, you can take fine notes digitally, but it needs to be kind of careful like that. And that's why we're really only working with 3 sources in totality, right? It's not a research paper. It's an explanation or informative type of paper that's making use of 3 sources. And then I would say that 3 double-spaced pages is the minimum that you're looking at. You're always looking at more than 5 paragraphs, because once you have at least an introductory paragraph and a concluding paragraph, you've got to shoot for at least 4, maybe more than that. Because again, I'm trying to get you ready for 102 and other kinds of classes. And every once in a while, people are writing short documents and reports, but they're not necessarily in the style of what we would now call a 5-paragraph essay. Nothing wrong with those. They certainly help us understand structure and how to put together a finely tuned piece of writing. But it's not something that you're always directed to do. If you get admitted into our nursing program, they're not going to say, give me a 5-paragraph nursing report. It just doesn't work out that way. So I would say that a lot of students tend to write about 4 to 5, but the minimum is 3. And that should give you some idea of what I'm looking for there. And let's see, let's go to the next slide. 1 second here. So this last slide is exactly what you think it is.